Welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Emmett Muckles. Please visit iTunes, Stitcher, or emmettmuckles.com to listen to all the episodes for free.
Hey everyone, we're at it again. At it. Like I said, you probably listened to the last podcast where I told you about my escapades in Austria, where I got remarried and we renewed our vows. So now I am kind of committed in 2 continents at least, but spiritually we're connected throughout the universe. Today we're going to talk about the development of the personal development cycle. So I came across this website because I actually Googled this because I had this thing in my head about, how should you move forward? How should you attain a goal? How should you mark out your life to accomplish any particular thing? Whether it be weight loss, whether it be learning something new, whether it be whatever it is. For instance, I recently bought this little gadget called a Raspberry Pi 3. I'm into programming and gadgets. I'm into electronics. That's been my thing. But over the years, electronics and programming have gone hand in hand. It used to be this thing where you just did it in machine language and it went off. It was a totally different thing than computers. But now the things have blended together. And when I got it, I had a vision in mind of what I wanted to do with it, but then I found that it doesn't do that. So I had to pivot. I keep saying this thing about pivoting. Pivoting gives you a breath of where you're not stuck in one mode, where you can always look at the general field you're at and do a reevaluation. But that even goes into a personal development cycle. For instance, let's start at the top of the circle because it's literally a circle because you're going to do steps over and over again. And I saw this on a website and it mirrored my theory of it as well. And some other things mirrored my theory of how to move forward. So this will be a quick podcast. When I talk, it's usually like less than 10 minutes. So here's the first thing. Step 1. Establish the purpose or establish a direction. Find out where you want to go. From there, which means know where your end result is going to be. So if you say, hey, I want to get in better shape, what does that mean? Does that mean you want to lower your resting heart rate? Does that mean you want to gain 5 pounds of muscle? Does that mean you want to lose a certain percentage of body fat? Or it could simply mean I want to fit in this pair of jeans that I was fitting in 5 years ago. Or it could be I want to save more money. And why do you want to save more money? Do you want to save it for investing? And how much do you want to invest? Basically, establish that purpose. Find that goal first so that you're not just going willy-nilly after something. And then once you do that, you have to identify the developmental needs that need to be acquired. So what do you need to do? What knowledge, what traits do you need to acquire so that you can move forward? And also, you got to look at the bigger scope of what is around you. Look at the development, look at the opportunities that will help you along the way, that may move you faster instead of you just grinding. Like I said in my last podcast, say you just grinding and getting diminishing returns. Look at development opportunities to find out what it is that you can hone in on that will aid your journey, that will aid you into getting to where you need to be. It's really that thing. And then once you've kind of sat back, thought about it, planned it out a little bit, now you really need to hone in and say, all right, I know what I need to learn. Here's some of the tools that I can bring into the fold to help me with this. And then you formulate an action plan. Now, this is really, really important because a lot of people talk to talk, but they don't walk to walk because they don't get to this point right here, which is formulate a plan of action. things that you have to do in order to get to that point, because you can talk about it, you can visualize it all day, but at some point it requires your input to move forward. Now, once you've got that plan into place, now you go back a little bit and you say, all right, here's what I need to do to get there. Here's the opportunities I got. I got my plan. Let's start gathering all the materials. Let me gather the knowledge. Let me gather the people that I need to move forward to help me with my endeavor. And then we can go on to it. Now, here's the second important part. When you're doing something, you have to make sure that you mark your results. See if you're making progress. It can be really small, your progress. And usually in the beginning is when you make your biggest strides. As you get closer to your goal, your measurements will get smaller and smaller and smaller till one day you're at the point that you need to be. But you have to understand that. And sometimes it's the curve is not so linear, where you may make really small strides at first, then you start to see market improvement, and then they get slower again. Usually in those periods when it's slow is when we get deterred. So you can't get deterred, you just have to know the process. So record your outcomes. If you are working, and I like to use the workout because it's your body. Everybody can identify with what I'm saying when it's talking about losing weight or gaining muscle, something like that. So when you have a scale, if you're working out, record where you are. And then as you progress along your journey, record what changes have been made because of the work that you have been doing, because that may tell you whether you need to step it up or scale it back, because you can do too much too fast. My mom used to always say this. She was like, don't try to do things in life too fast, because there's a time and a place for everything. So when you try to rush things, you may get to the point where you need to be, but you may not be ready or mature enough to handle it. So that's why you have to be in the flow of things. Let things move in according to their time and your time. So once you've recorded your outcomes, your progress, now it's time to review and evaluate. Because let's say, for instance, you're trying to lose 15 pounds. And you start off, a couple weeks go by, you lose 2 pounds. Cool. That's improvement. As time goes along, now you've lost like 7 pounds. But then when you get to like the 14.5, 14, 15 pound, now what do? Now you have to get back to the beginning of the circle and say, I have to establish my purpose and direction. So if you're trying to lose weight, now you've lost the weight. Now what are you going to do? Now your focus is different. It pivots to a different area. Now you're in maintenance mode, where you have a different goal in mind, which is to maintain where you are. Or it might be, I wanted to lose body fat. Now I need to build muscle. Or it could be, hey, I've paid off my bills. Now I want to start a fund for my children so they can go to college. Or I paid off my bills. That doesn't mean I go out and buy a new car. That means I maintain what I have and I start saving money so I can pay cash for the car that I get next time. But you understand what I'm saying is you really have to establish a purpose and direction, identify the development needs that you need to acquire, look at your opportunities that can help you along the way, formulate a plan, always have a plan, because you're going to take those two previous things to get your plan together. Now you know what you need to do. Now you know what tools you have. Then you get to the grind. Undertake that development. Make sure that happens. Start your work. Record what's going on, and so you can measure what changes are being made, and then review that. Just sit down, step away from it and say, where did I start? Where have I come from now? And how far do I need to go? Once you get to your goal, reevaluate. There may be something different, but this is what you have to do. Remember, this is the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Stitcher. Ooh, my voice is a little dry. You can also find us on TuneIn Radio, but I would like for you guys to go to the Billionaire Lifestyle, now, emmettmuckles.com, and peruse the website. I will be rebuilding it in the next month or 2 or 3. But particularly, you can go on Facebook, since everyone really loves Facebook so much. Go to Facebook, and there you can look up in that little search bar the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast, which we have a fan page. Go there and say, "What's up? How you doing? How you feeling? Hey, give me, let me know that you're living." That's what life is about. Just think if you were on this planet all by yourself, it would get really boring. It's like solitary confinement. So it's important for me to connect with you, to connect with me. Love yourselves. Remember that. It is important for you to love yourselves and to love others. But it's more important to be just to others. Treat others like you want to be treated. And stop looking. Let's stop looking at each other as we are separate, because we are all on this planet together. Let me digress a little bit. So I want to build this deck on my house, and I had an acquaintance of mine who has a drone come over and take pictures of my house. So he took the drone and he went up like maybe 100 feet above my house, and as he's doing this, he has a tablet that shows the camera of the drone. I know I digress from ending the podcast. But something profound happened. It was 3 of us. It was my wife and I and my colleague, and we were standing in the backyard. And in that moment, I saw just from 100 feet above where we were how tiny we are. But we're tiny and powerful, particularly when we are together. So it is very important for you to treat other people as you wish to be treated. Sometimes it requires you to look at yourself through someone else's eyes. You might be surprised at what you see. Till next time, love you all. Peace.